for a long time now, I have really worked hard to try to live my life in a more cyclical way. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we have a lot of artificial constructs in our world, right? We think of things as constantly marching forward and being very linear. That's a very masculine way of looking at things. And I'm not talking about men. I'm just talking about like an energy that's more masculine. You know, we start the year on January 1st and we need to get all of our goals in order and change our whole lives and get a fresh start. And I like a fresh start as much as anybody, but I'm never called to do that on January 1st. For me, it's more like February, March. And the reason is because when you start to think of living cyclically, you can start to think of your life in more like a spiral. There comes a time, somewhere after 50, when you realize home isn't just about where you live. It's about how you live. It's about who you're becoming and what you're ready to make space for. I'm Juli Ford, real estate expert and longtime wellness coach, and someone who's lived in a multi-generational home for the past decade while reinventing my life and my business. And this is Home After 50, a podcast about what it really means to find, shape, and come home to a new season, to a new home, to a new version of yourself. Whether you're thinking about upsizing, downsizing, moving in with family, or just asking bigger questions about what's next, you're in the right place. Each episode, I will share stories, insights, and real strategies for women redefining home and life on their own terms. Because after 50, home isn't just a place, it's a calling. And this time, it's yours. Welcome back to Home After 50. This week, I'm coming to you with a short and sweet solo episode, and I'll be back next week with a great guest that I think you're really going to be excited to hear from, especially if you're an older adult who is interested in aging in place, or you have a family member who is an older adult, someone over 62, who is interested in staying in their home and aging in place and accessing the equity in their home to help them do that. So that's coming up next week. But for now, I just wanted to drop in today and talk a little bit about the end of the year. And I'm thinking of this from a personal perspective, but I'm also thinking of it from a business perspective. I know for me, I'm seeing a lot of posts on social media this week, especially, as we get through Thanksgiving, we're into the last month of the year, we're in December now, and there is just so much pressure to end the year strong. I see so many people, so many business people posting about, oh, check your goals. Like, where do you stand? There's only a month left to reach all of your goals for 2025. And I just want to say, I am just not into it. I'm not into it. I love a good goal like anybody else. I have had an exciting year in my business, and what I'm called to do right now is to pause and reflect back on the year, on what's happened so far, and to give myself a little bit of grace if not everything ended up being exactly as I planned, and give myself some time to think about why and to reflect on both maybe the challenges and the blessings that come from that. And the reason I think of it this way is because for a long time now, I have really worked hard to try to live my life in a more cyclical way. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we have a lot of artificial constructs in our world, right? We think of things as constantly marching forward and being very linear. That's a very masculine way of looking at things. And I'm not talking about men. I'm just talking about like an energy that's more masculine. We start the year on January 1st and we need to get all of our goals in order and change our whole lives and get a fresh start. And I like a fresh start as much as anybody, but I'm never called to do that on January 1st. For me, it's more like February, March. And the reason is because when you start to think of living cyclically, you can start to think of your life in more like a spiral. And what I mean by that is I think of life more seasonally. So December, here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're getting into the darkest days of the year. And when we hit January 1st, after the holidays, even though it's a new year on the calendar, we're still in a really dark, cold time of the year. And our bodies, our minds, our souls just kind of naturally want to feel like we're moving at a little bit of a slower pace. And for me, it's when the light starts to come back closer to February, March, and we're heading towards spring, that I know my energy to create and to go after new goals and to have a fresh start really starts to pick up. And that for me usually lasts like through the spring and the summer. And then in the fall, I usually become a little bit more reflective, time to wrap things up. And by the time I hit November, December, January, I am really called to be more restful and reflective. So I'm sharing that with you because this is only something I learned. I just turned 57 last week, and this is only something I really learned in my 40s and only began to practice, gosh, I'd say like the last 10 years, but really intentionally, maybe the last 6 or 7 years, and giving myself some space and some grace to allow those slower times of year naturally has, I believe, allowed me to actually accomplish more. Because I'm not fighting against the natural energy of things. I'm not fighting against my own body's energy or the energy of the earth, the moon, the stars, however you want to look at it. It's the cycles of nature. It's the cycles of the place that we live here on planet Earth. This is getting maybe a little more esoteric than I usually do on the podcast, but I think if you're called to be here listening to the Home After 50 podcast, you've probably gotten a sense of who I am and the way that I see things. And I just really wanted to share a little bit more of that with you. So whether you are thinking about personal goals and your personal experiences this year, or business goals and your business accomplishments, or the things that didn't happen that you wanted to have happen, this is my brief invitation to you to slow down and allow yourself to end the year with a little more gentleness, a little more grace, and pick back up again on new goals and fresh energy when it feels right for you. And maybe that will be January 1st for you. I can pretty much guarantee you it won't be for me, but maybe for you it will be, and that's fine. But the invitation is just give yourself a chance to see what feels right to you, rather than running through the holidays at a frantic pace and immediately after feeling like you just need to start everything up all over again. So I hope that resonates. I hope that feels like a little bit of a deep breath during what can otherwise feel like a busy and hectic season full of a lot of obligations for people. And I hope you get the chance to spend some quiet time really thinking about what you need, and perhaps starting 2026 off with a little bit more courage to go at your own pace. So I'm going to leave you with that, my friends, and I will see you next week for a wonderful interview with a great guest that I know you're going to love. And thanks for being here with me, as always. If this episode resonated with you, I am starting something new over on Instagram, and I hope you will come visit me and check it out. Visit my Instagram at It's Juli Ford, ITSJULIFORD, and come check out my Aligned Life Edit. It's my Instagram subscription. There's a 14-day free trial, and after that, it's just $9.99 a month. And in that subscription space for subscribers only, I am walking you through my December Aligned Life Audit, where we're going to take time to really reflect and look back on the year together and begin 2026 with much greater intention and alignment with who we're really becoming. So I hope you'll visit me on Instagram, check it out, and if it's for you, give it a try. I would love to see you there. Thanks so much for listening to Home After 50. If this episode resonated, I'd love it if you'd come hang out with me on Instagram. I am at It's Juli Ford, ITSJULIFORD. Just remember, no E on Juli. That's where I share ideas and behind the scenes about multi-generational living, real estate, business, and creating a next chapter that you love. And if you're curious about whether multi-generational living might be right for you, you can grab my free guide. It's in the link right in my Instagram bio. It's a simple way to get started imagining what's next. Because after 50, home isn't just a place, it's who we're becoming. See you next time.